Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one a massive one. The Crusaders versus the Chiefs. The top of the table clash. One of these two sides at the end of this round will be able to call themselves number one. But of course, there is still time left in the competition. That can all change. We saw a big win for the Reds last night up against the Waratahs, so they create that little bit more space between them and the Blues, who have made their way into that top six. Got to keep an eye on them with their couple games remaining. The Crusaders, they actually have a game in hand over every other side, which does mean if they win this game, they are in the lead by quite some margin, and they have still got a couple more games to come in the competition. Looking through at the starting lineup, first of all for the Crusaders, it is to Mikey Williams, Cody Taylor and Fletcher Null, Scott Barrett and Antonio Shalfoon in the locking duo, and then on the loose forward trio, Cullen Grace, Tom Christie, and Christian Leo Willie slotting in at number 8. Noah Hotham and Reves Reihana in the 9-10 combination. David Harvili and Braden Enor in the centres. Then Reese, Fiaki and Will Jordan, who's had quite the start to his Super Rugby Pacific for the Chiefs. And their starting side, Ollie Norris in the front row alongside Brodie McAllister up against his old side and George Dyer at number 3. Now Norris has been putting together some pretty impressive performances. It all started from coming off the bench as an HIA replacement only a couple weeks ago. Then last week he had to go off for an HIA, but he must have passed it as he is back for this matchup. Naitoa Akoi and Tupawai in the locking duo. Simon Parker, Luke Jacobson and Wallace Satiti gets that spot at number 8. A lot of people have been waiting for his chance to be in the starting side rather than off the bench, and the chance comes up against this Crusaders side. Cortez Ratama and Damian McKenzie, a welcome change in their number 10 jersey. Quintapai and Daniel Rona in the middle. Leroy Carter, Moni Narawa and Sean Stevenson at number 15. So, two stacked sides. Both have been in some pretty decent form as of late, as can be shown by the top of the table clash. And now it's just that big question of who is going to get themselves the win here at Apollo Project Stadium. We have got, I doubt the Crusaders will lose this at home. The Chiefs finally have Damian McKenzie back again though. This is for top of the table clash. There's NZ Riot, Chiefs all the way. And also we have got that is short for the Chiefs. For up the Chiefs, it's the same amount of letters though, country guy. And it's the same amount of syllables too. So it's kind of short for a word that's already the same length as it. We have got their Black Ferns won their game. That's no surprise. Yeah, they did very well up against the Aussies. I think 38-12 or somewhere around there. I did see Aussie look like they were starting to make a bit of a comeback in the early stages of the second half, but nah, Black Ferns had them under control. It seemed go any potential All Blacks. Well, there's a lot of them across these two lineups. And also, hey, where's the live? The live is available on Sky Sport here in New Zealand. I believe it is on Stan Sport in Australia. And then outside of that, I think Super Sport even have these ones in South Africa as well. Looking through at the benches for these two sides. First of all, for the Crusaders, it is Moa Nanu, who has taken this Super Rugby season by storm. George Bauer and Seb Calder there at number 18. Jamie Hanna, and Corey Kello as the 20. Preston O'Connor and Dallas McLeod at number 23. Now, of course, the Crusaders, they did suffer a bit of an injury in that fly half department in their last contest, which brought Reves Reihana into the starting side. They have still got JOC off the bench, knows how to win games with last-minute kicks, and wouldn't mind doing it in this game as well. For the Chiefs, they have got Taukiaho, Aidan Ross, and Ruben O'Neill as the front row replacements. Josh Lord alongside Summer Penny Finau as the other two forwards. Then Xavier Rowe, Josh Jacob, and Gideon Rappling at number 23. Anyone wondering about Anton Leonard-Brown? And for anyone who hasn't heard, he is out for the rest of the season due to his injury that he did sustain a few weeks ago. We have got there Flow Rugby in the USA as the other option. Says Mark, I would laugh if this game ends in a draw. Says Kiwi Rob. I mean, if it ends in a draw, that would actually be quite cool. Because that way, you know, if these two sides face off further down the line, like the Super Rugby Pacific final, if they are still 1 and 2, if they were able to face each other with just, I mean, we've seen the early result of the season, of course, but a draw in the most recent fixture would actually, I think, add a lot more hype to the final. And then the other side of things, of course, is 1-1. Going into that final is always an entertaining one when it does come around. This is a very tough match today. It is, but it looks like perfect rugby conditions from the sounds of it. It's being played in Christchurch for this contest. Once it gets final 6, anything can happen. Exactly right. And I've said it the whole way through. I would not want, well, to be honest, I wouldn't want to face a lot of those sides at the moment who are lurking around that 5 and 6 mark, as that is where the upsets can happen. We saw it last year. Even the Chiefs, they were able to cause the upset by beating the Hurricanes, who had a phenomenal start to their season, had many wins throughout the regular matches as well, and then they did lose the big one in the semi. They then got the Chiefs through to the final to take on the Blues at Eden Park. Two of my favourite sides, and I'm from Auckland. So there's Papa Shango there. The two sides just in the tunnels at the moment. Points differential currently for the Chiefs is 120. For the Crusaders, it is 96, but the Crusaders have got that extra game in hand. So that may play a little bit of a factor as we head towards the end of the competition. In terms of what is coming next for these two sides, looking at next week's fixtures, there we go. Crusaders, they will be taking on the Waratahs. That has taken place in Australia. And then for the Chiefs, they have got themselves the bye. Now, I mentioned how Crusaders have one game of catch-up that they needed to get through, so that helps them there be back on the same as the other sides. But the starting lineups, like I said, they're stacked for this match, as you would expect for a Chiefs versus Crusaders derby. The crowd look like they are pretty full as well at Apollo Project Stadiums, formerly known as Orange Theory Stadium. And Reece, Fiaki and Jordan, that will be a dangerous back three for the Crusaders. Sever Reece trying to chase down that try-scoring record. He's still on the verge of it, although now that Julian Savi is back, he's going to continue to boost himself up that little bit more as well. We have got there, I amateur broadcast Black Ferns today. We did not know. Unfortunately, completely ran out of time. By the time I scheduled the URC ones as well as the Super Rugby matches, I think I finished scheduling those at about 5:05 p.m. and I didn't really want to start a live stream 5 minutes after kickoff. I felt like that would have been a little bit rough. And a good win for the Black Ferns in the end over Australia to get their Pacific Nations or Pacific 4 series underway in emphatic fashion. Blues would love to beat the Crusaders 1 versus 6, says Mark Kiwi, although the thing with that would be the Crusaders still make it through to the semis, if that is the case, and then perhaps they would actually have to play again the week after. I'm not too sure how that works, but I do know that whoever is the top qualifier who is defeated, it means that they will go through to the semi-finals. So that would actually not bode well for the Chiefs, because when you think about it, if the Chiefs are in second and the Crusaders lose and they take that little bit of a lifeline that's available, if the Chiefs were to also lose their game up against 5th place, which could end up being the Hurricanes, could end up being maybe the Reds, Moana Pacifica even, then that would mean the Chiefs are out of the competition. Oh yeah, I've got the question, do you think the Aussies were robbed of a try? I did think that there was like control of one of those tries that they called as a knock-on against Australia. I was watching it in slow motion, seeing as, because I wasn't on a live stream, I do have the ability to do that without causing too many problems. And yeah, it did look like there was a little bit of contact with the ball at all times. But then the thing is, it didn't really change the result either. They did still lose by quite a margin. Looks like White Crockett, as there are a few of the ex-Crusaders, Kieran Reid. In fact, it is more than just a few of the ex-Crusaders. They are all lined up and they are making up the tunnel for these two sides as they do make their way out of the tunnel for this contest. Hi, says Marie, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. These are the best teams this year, says Country. And the fact that we get to see these two sides play twice already throughout the regular season and then potentially in a playoff game too does mean that Super Rugby, of course, is going to stay as entertaining as ever. But do let me know your score predictions for this match, ladies and gentlemen. Raves Rehan, a lot of pressure on him, 18 matches in his Super Rugby career. It's quite bad, but the thing that I remember about Raves Rehan is missing that kick in the match between Crusaders and Munster for the Champions versus Champions match a couple years ago. IPL and PSL have been suspended. I did hear that. Yeah, not very good at the moment. What is going on over there? We have got gifted 1 membership from Zero Connection. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your generosity. And we haven't even started in terms of the kickoff as of yet. At the moment, they are ranked first, the Chiefs. They've had some decent form. They've got some brilliant players across the lineup. Mackenzie has returned 31-26, either team to win. Says Novmum, so going very close, just like that Tars versus Reds game was. But it is great to see Mackenzie back. His last round was in round 10, I believe. And then, of course, this is now round 13. So missing a few weeks more than some would have anticipated for him. My brother won their first league game. 48-0, says Marisa. It is a pretty one-sided affair. Ben O'Keefe will be the referee in charge of this one. Razor and Joy says 0 and 30 points to 22 as the prediction there from Mr. All-In. But now, two sides just having the final moments before kick-off. There's still another game of Super Rugby today. It is Brumbies taking on the Western Force, but this one, a lot of people are considering as the main event, the top of the table clash. One of these two sides will sit number 1 at the end of the round. The other will still be second and needs one more try to equal the Super Rugby try-scoring record there for Severese. He is slowly climbing the rankings. I would say by the end of the season, he should be well and truly close to being there. 57% for the Crusaders. My prediction is 10 points to 13. All going low scoring in that regard. Now Damien McKenzie kicks this one off, and we are now underway for this contest, and that is not the start that Shelfoon would have liked. He has knocked the ball on, and the Chiefs have got themselves early possession. Tupavai goes across now to Sean Stevenson, attempts a little grubber, awkward bouncing one, and Fiaki was unable to gather it cleanly. Now Leroy Carter is looking to shake back around and set this one for the Chiefs. Ratama goes across to Wallace Satiti, McKenzie to Stevenson, who already has a bit of space to pass it off to Quinn Tupaia. Driving his legs, Tom Christie is the tackler. Of course, normally makes about 20 a game, so you will see him quite a bit throughout this contest. Ratama again goes across to George Dyer, 25 metres out from the line. The Crusaders currently defending. I wish the Bulls win the URC. Says Marie there. And we have got their morning from Wet Cape Town, raining Amish. Says Roof, now passed across to Sean Stevenson. Good low tackle made from Che Fiaki. Tied up both of the legs and definitely was not going to be letting them go. To the right again, McKenzie, 30 metres out. Finds Brody McAllister up against his old side, and they put in a bit of physicality on him. Trying to go for that counter ruck was Cullen Grace and Leo Willie. Step there from Satiti, dragged down early by Tom Christie. Neither of these sides budging in the early stages. The Chiefs doing well with their phase play. The Crusaders doing well in defence and their discipline. McKenzie goes back across to the left-hand side of Moni Narawa. He's tried the little grubber in behind too, and this time it goes straight into the hands of Will Jordan. Cullen Grace, hard run forward. Tupavai thought about reaching in for a contestable chance, and Chiefs by 5, says FBI there. We have got there, let's see some good passes, says Ruth. And AB Centres, David Arvelli and Lester Fine Arnuku, let's go, says Blues Nate. 2 minutes in, and we have now got the first stoppage of the game. That ball has been kicked into touch, but a very long passage of play to start off this matchup. Cortez Ratamir goes off to Leroy Carter, playing in the number 11 jersey for this contest. Out on the other wing, they have got Imoni Narawa, so plenty of try-scoring ability for the Chiefs. Let's go Saders, beat these Mulus. Says TH, skip pass from McKenzie, just a little bit too far out in front of Imoni Narawa. He wasn't quite able to bring it in. And let's go Waz, says Kiwi Rob. And also crackers, cheese and coffee for breakfast, says Ruth. So triple C in that regard. It's normally the brand on, who used to be CCC? I think all of them are swapped now, haven't they? Now ready to throw this one in, Cody Taylor. That one wasn't the straightest throw we've ever seen, and it will be called out by Ben O'Keefe. And don't get Carter run with it, or run it in, says Ruth. Now Cortez Ratama going to be taking this quick death, 40 metres out from the line at the moment for the Chiefs. They've had much more of the possession in the early stages of this match. In fact, I don't think they've got out of the half since Antonio Shelfoon did drop that ball right off the kickoff. Now Dyer, back across to the right-hand side. Good hands from McKenzie before the match. They mentioned about how they want to shut him down, although they do know that even when shutting him down, there will still be his moments where he's able to get the attack going. Ratama again goes across to McKenzie, almost stolen by Reese. We had a decent interception chance, offloaded from Tupolvai, and there will be the knock-on initially from Reese, then by Ratama, so we will have ourselves the first scrum of the day. And 49-24 to the Chiefs, and second round win over the Crusaders, says Roy. And also, we've got their speed, everything. No time to forget to pass to your teammates. And morning, evening, and good afternoon, everyone, says the Blues Nate. And there too, but McKenzie trying to get it out wide to Amoni Narawa. That has come with a couple errors already when going that way, and Reese disappointed that he wasn't able to hang on to it. Looks like there is already a bit of an injury here for Ratima too. By the way, are you going to keep an eye on the under 85 kg game? Probably not, no. If I'm being honest, I didn't even know that there was an under 85 kg game on tonight. The mindset's been firmly on this one, as well as, of course, that Black Ferns Australia match that did take place just beforehand. Looked like a decent crowd in Newcastle for that match. A little bit of a team huddle here, or at least a three-man huddle between Satiti, Jacobson, and also Damien McKenzie. I would say that that's debating whether or not they're going off the back or whether they're going to use that back line. Ratama having a few troubles with just that left-hand shoulder, but looks like he's going to be all right to continue. We have got there, Hamish, your feeling here. How many tries? Not too many penalties, I hope. I'm hoping we get to see a few tries, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if these two sides play this a bit more like a test match. At the end of the day, like, yes, you want to get that bonus point. That's a knock-on from Ratama off the back of the scrum. I think it might have just clipped Satiti's boot as they were about to pick that one up. To Mighty Williams. Got a face full of grass. He has fully head-butted the ground there. But yeah, just a little bit of a miscommunication perhaps off the back. Satiti frustrated, same with Ratama. And we got there, these two teams secure at home playoffs. Says KW. I believe so. I would be extremely surprised if any side overtake them. But then saying that, like, for instance, whoever loses this game, the Brumbies will overtake them. But I do still feel like looking at the remaining games, for instance, for the Chiefs, like they've got the Highlanders and Moana Pacifica. They should win both of those games, so that should be fine for them. And then the Crusaders still have that extra game in hand. Like the Brumbies might get the home semi if they're very lucky, but yeah, well, it's more than doable, I guess. I'd be surprised if it was anyone other than the Brumbies, though. We have the test match mode between the top of the table Titans. Says NZ Riders, a good kick in behind there from the Crusaders. They're now going to have themselves a line out from inside of the Chiefs 22. This is actually the first visit to the opposition half with that 50-22 from the Crusaders. Very good at opening up that space in behind the opposition. Cullen Grace taking that line out. This time it was straight. Transfer from Leo Willie is good. Close to the sideline, Tom Christie dragged down at the front by Naitoa Kui. Now Hotham goes off to Havili, tries to bump off Dyer. Isn't too successful. 10 metres out, Hotham tries to pick and go. Ratama tried to get right onto the ball. Unfortunately, he has completely lost his footing. Crusaders getting it out wide. Tom Christie has got the try. He doesn't score many of them. And he's probably out of the three in the loose forward trio, the least likely that people would have expected. But he has got himself the try. They're showing Braden Enor, but he did not score it. There he is, Tom Christie, for his second of the season, the 9th of his career. He does some nice walking down that short side, tough match, says Himothy. And just that 150-22, the complete momentum shifter there for the Crusaders. First attack of the day, and they managed to just about, perfectly done by Tom Christie in terms of the timing. Timo needs to check. I'm such a grumpy old woman, lol, says Novmum. Now right near the sideline, it will be a Reves Reihana. Career success of 69% off the kicking tee. This one, not the easiest kick of the day, I wouldn't say. I think that he'd get a lot easier ones. But now, Reves Reihana, that's a good strike. Right down the middle. And that's going to make the score now 7-0 in favour of the Crusaders. But Tom Christie, the opening try scorer at Where's Rugby Itch, says Himothy. I would assume that if he's not live on his channel, he's probably out and about, I would say. I think he did a game yesterday. I think he did do the Blues draw game, if I'm correct. I think he mentioned about it last week. And now Christian Leo Willie Tackle made on him, 30 metres out from their own line here, the Crusaders, but they have now got themselves the lead. And like I mentioned, one of the first real attacking chances that they have had of this contest, so that will frustrate the Chiefs, that they've been on the right side of the field, haven't been on the right side of the scoreboard. Roll back by Noah Hotham. Oh no, in fact, he's going to be told to use it. I am like number 16, says Rape. Which 16? Like not Brody McAllister, Moananu, or Bradley Slater? Going to be kicked high. And it's nicely taken by David Havili on the halfway line. Again, the Crusaders making meters in the territory department, looking for the kick in behind. Won't be a 50-22-ish. Storm Stevenson is back ready to cover, and he will kick this one towards the touchline. And now the Crusaders are going to have themselves a line out about 35 metres out. Let's go, the Crusaders. Come on, the Chiefs. There's Christopher and Hensel, so two separate sides of the equation there. Cody Taylor ready to throw this ball in for the Crusaders. I'm the 16th like on the stream. Hit the like button, peeps. Says Drape. Now going off to the right-hand side, Hotham. Around the halfway line, Reves Rehana. Skip past the Havili, who goes short to Braden Inor. Saying the return of Inor after relatively long layoff. Little kick behind attempted by Reves Rehana again, and it just goes into touch. My prediction is 34 Crusaders, 35 Chiefs, says Timothy. And Crusaders on top, says Derek. And there as well. It's going to be intriguing because the Chiefs, like I said, they've had some very good attacking moments, but the try hasn't come with that. So you wonder whether or not they can really find their rhythm throughout the next kind of 10 or so minutes. Get themselves on the try sheet and then just keep on going. Wallace Satiti running it hard. He's driven backwards by Leo, Willie and Grace. There will be another man that they're slightly trying to shut out of this contest. And waiting for the Stormers game, says Bruce. And they are, of course, going to be playing the Dragons. It is about a 4:30 a.m. or in fact 4:15 a.m. kickoff, I believe it is, for us here in New Zealand. Will Jordan in open space. That is always dangerous. He runs straight at Cody Taylor, and that will be an obstruction penalty in favour of the Chiefs. Nice warm grey hoodie, Amish. I say great Crusaders on the board. Oh, what happens if the Chiefs get a bonus point win? Says Timothy. They will be top of the table, but it's a big win, isn't it? They create a bit of a gap between them and the Crusaders if that is the case. Both of these sides currently on 37 points, although Crusaders have got that extra game in hand. The Chiefs have got a week where they have got a bye coming up in the relatively near future. I believe next week they are taking on no one, and then the week after that, Moana Pacifica, then the Highlanders. Ready to throw this ball in here for Brody McAllister. Nicely claimed by Ratama now across to Mackenzie. Tupai, short ball, finds Luke Jacobson. Finds himself in that number 7 jersey for this match. Mackenzie skip past this time. Finds a Moni Naroa. Has a bit of a slip near the sideline. Reese trying to get on the ball. Doesn't get it either. Naito Akoi off to Stevenson. Just slightly inside of their own half at the moment here for the Chiefs. Mackenzie tries to pierce through. He's tackled by Taylor and Shelfoon. Ratama goes across to George Dyer again. Oh, Fletcher Null trying his best to get out of the way of that one. 5 phases in a row, and now they have decided to send it to the sky for Sean Stevenson going across field towards Leroy Carter. In fact, it's Tupai this time. To manage to slap it back, but it bounces into the hands of the home side. Will Jordan passing it across to Cody Taylor. He still hasn't really had that big barnstorming run over the last few weeks that people used to love to see from that man. Oh, Scott Barrett sits down. Ratama, to his credit, still managed to make the tackle. Now Reves Rehana kicks this one high. That one's only going to go about 10 to 15 metres. Slapped back by Quinn Tupai again. Looks like he's a little bit slow getting back up to his feet. Wallace Satiti tries to step. He's got Cody Taylor on one leg, Shelfoon on the other. And we have got there. Let's go the boys to Mighty Williams, Crusaders 28 to 22. And thanks, mate, for the information. Here's Timothy there to Drape. Now going off to the left-hand side. Leroy Carter close to the sideline, and that will be another penalty going the way of the Chiefs. Only 13 minutes into this contest. That one's going to be for not rolling away against the Crusaders, but they are slowly building here, the Chiefs. Seen 2 penalties against the Saders so far. Ratama putting that ball down so that Damian McKenzie can kick this one towards the sideline. And this is a bit of a worrying sign here for the Crusaders. Will Jordan down with a bit of an injury. Looks like he's got his legs kind of spread as if he's doing like a yoga pose. So I think he was just getting maybe the groin stretched out or maybe even the knee. Who scored the try? It was Tom Christie. Who did manage to get the first try of the contest. Tupavai takes that line out, gives it off to Ratamo, who finds Tapaya. 25 metres out from the line, Naitoa Koi. With this pressure that they've created here, the Crusaders, the Chiefs, they do need a try. Cross kick, McKenzie finds Narua, pops it back on the inside to Stevenson, who offloads it on the inside, and it goes to Rayana. I think Amoni Narua almost had that ball. Reese close to the sideline, and it eventually goes out. And we'll go back for another knock on, this time against the Chiefs. And it's a big test for the Chiefs. It should finally out how good they actually are, says NZ Ride. And evening, Hamish, says Anthony. Welcome in. The session at the moment, 62% for the Chiefs, 61% territory in their favour too. Crusaders have had 5 times as much time inside of the 22. Now, that sounds like a lot, but it's really only 28 seconds compared to about 5. In news on Soali from the Waratahs, looked really bad last night. I hope he's going to be okay. I haven't heard anything as of yet. I would assume it's at least a concussion and a couple weeks off, though, just from the way that he was taken off the field. And when you get knocked out like that, you know, they don't normally like to chuck you back in the week after. And Timothy forgot his tea, says Blues Night. And good morning, Breakfast Club. Good morning, Breakfast Coffee and Rugby, says Seb there. Now Noah Hotham goes off to David Harville. Good chase there. Tried to block the kick. Will now be about 30 metres out from the line. Good morning, Ham and Cheese, says Albert. I asked my cousin what was the full club name of the Chiefs. His answer, Waikato Chiefs, says Timothy. Now, a big shot coming in from Tom Christie on Quintupaya. Now popping this ball up again. McKenzie goes on the outside. Sean Stevenson pops it on the inside. Finds Daniel Rona. Oh, that's nicely done by Leroy Carter there. No, in fact, that's Leroy Carter. Who was that who put Will Jordan down nicely? I think it was actually Quinn Tupaya, I want to say. Looked like he was about to accidentally tip-tackle him, so instead just placed him nicely. Hope Soali will be okay, says Novmum. Going back across to the right-hand side. They are once again inside of their own half here, the Chiefs. Trying to drive forward with Tupavai. Is the ball available? Ben O'Keefe giving them every opportunity to be able to use it. Now Ratama kicks it high. Just outside of the 40-metre line. It's going to be knocked on by the Crusaders and picked up by Norris. Now Ratama finds McKenzie again, putting it in behind to Amoni Narua, trying to beat David Harville for pace on the outside, but Harville keeps up with him. And with the assisted tackle from Reese. Oh, low pass, but good hands from Wallace Satiti. Back across, McKenzie goes to Arkoi. There's a lot of phases happening here for the Crusaders to have to defend up against. I wonder whether or not that will fatigue them as the match does go on. Another 6 phases in a row. Ratama goes across to Ollie Norris. It's hit hard by Barrett, who looks like he's practicing being a dog there. He was walking on all fours for a second. Wallace Satiti. Oh, looking for the turnover was Christie, but it's popped out the back for Ratama again. Naito Akoi back across to the left-hand side. Leroy Carter now with a bit of space, but great low tackle made by Noah Hotham. These two sides defensively aren't missing those crucial tackles, which is causing quite an even contest. Big driving tackle again from the Crusaders. Bit of a counter-ruck too, but it pops out for the Chiefs. McKenzie out to Jacobson. Quick hands to Narua. Was waiting on the wing, cuts inwards. Manages to get through a couple tackles, looks for the offload and gives it straight to David Harville, who will once again just kick this ball into touch. This is a very fatiguing pace. We have got there. Evans' injury was friendly fire, at least not an ACL, says Albert. Oh, someone's going off the HIA. Is that Barrett? Or is that someone else? But yeah, Barrett, the way that he was walking around, well, crawling around it. It didn't look too flash, but I think he might have just had his boots stuck in the breakdown. So, oh no, it's going to be someone in the back line of the Chiefs. Gideon Rampling, he will make his way on. Good evening, Amish up the mighty Chiefs. And Will Jordan's gone off. He's got something to do with that right knee by the looks of it, or the groin, that he will not continue in this match. That is a massive hit to the Crusaders. Now ready to throw this ball in for Brodie McAllister. Crusaders are going to win. Says Benjamin, stolen by the Crusaders at line-out time and then taken straight back by the Chiefs. So McLeod is onto the field, and I would say that they've made a bit of a reshuffle there. Pick and go attempted from Amoni Narawa. Did slip through the fingertips, but Daniel Rona actually the player who's off for the HIA for the Chiefs. So both sides having to make a change in their back lines pretty much at the same time. Each that's bad for Jordan. Says Albert off to Norris now. Look for the offload, and that one's going to be onto the side of the Crusaders again. Hotham goes for the kick downfield. Doesn't get the distance that he would have liked on it. Stevenson goes across to Carter. A big loss for the ABs too if Will Jordan is out. Yeah, the good news is he was still walking on it, so I don't think it was too bad. That's great pace shown by Cullen Grace. Cuts off McKenzie, who's lying down. He might be a bit hurt here too. Oh, and a little bit of push and shove afterwards. A little bit of feeling between these two sides. This rivalry has been building over the last few years. Siri Reese said, give us a hug to Quinn Tapira, and he pushed him away. So yeah, a bit of tension. Will Jordan, and just showing him slowly making his way round to the Crusaders bench. Okay, Ben O'Keefe has just said, it's lucky it's your ball, don't do that after. Was pretty much the gist of that one. And the Crusaders' defence is epic. Yeah, both sides defending extremely well in this one. Now off to the left-hand side. Brodie McAllister claims it. Of course, playing for the Chiefs now rather than the Satyrs. Space out wide. Chance for Sean Stevenson. This time gets the grubber right. Oh, he's missed the extra grubber though. And it's going to be knocked on from the Chiefs. Gideon Rampling, he feels like he had control of that the whole time. But it is going to be another scrum now to the Crusaders. Up it, says Jesse. Up it. And we have got there. Chiefs don't kick the ball away. Here's FBI. Yeah, Sean Stevenson, that's about his second or third time that he's attempted those grubbers. Now he completely missed the next kick, and then Gideon Rampling is not quite able to hang on to it. Sounds like there's a lot of intensity and a fast pace, says John. Yeah, both of these sides have come out firing, and Sean Stevenson is huffing and puffing right now after the tempo that this one's been played at. Because the thing is, it's not just the phases on attack for these sides, but it's when the opposition get the ball and they kick it downfield and then they have to chase. A lot of players already feeling the fatigue. We're only a quarter of the way through this match. Oh, front rows go down. Ben O'Keefe's going to say we'll have another reset here, boys. Oh, it's a nice quick reset. They are just doing a very, very zoomed in shot of Will Jordan's knee. It looks like a normal knee if we're being honest. We're going to see it here, the tackle from, it's Rataman. It's actually Cody Taylor who he ran into. It was during that obstruction, and the knee kind of just got slammed from the side. But yeah, looks like a stock standard knee, maybe a bit of bruising on the outside. But we'll have to wait to see what the outcome is for that one. Stop kicking the possession away. Just keep passing nicely. I know I hope them to feed this ball in for the Crusaders, who are 10 metres out from their own line. Landers a bloody bad season, but the Moana are blessed this season, says Timothy. Yeah, they've been extremely impressive. Moana Pacific are still well and truly in the running for a top 8 spot. On top 6, I should say, sorry. But definitely a top 8 finish on the cards anyway for them, whether they are in the playoffs or not. Kick downfield from Noah Hotham. Was inside of his 22, does get it into touch. The Chiefs. Oh, I thought for a second Leroy Carter was going to throw that one across field to Sean Stevenson, but doesn't in the end. 22 and a half minutes of a game that has absolutely flown by with hardly any stoppages other than a couple injuries just before. Everything else has been all-out pace. Naito Akoi, that was a poor pass. Goes in between two of the Chiefs players who both were looking at each other as if to say it was theirs. Now Hotham with a kick from inside of his own 22. Plenty of space in behind to be able to work with. Awkward bouncing ball. Well handled by Leroy Carter though. Will be just outside of the Chiefs 22. Good morning from Orania, Hamish. It's 9:30 in the morning here, says Gerhard. So it is great to have you here for this live stream. Ratama told to use it. Sends it back down towards the halfway line. Shea Fiaki, two-man tackle from Rampling and Jacobson. Back across to Scott Barrett. It's a good shot on the potential All Blacks captain. And, Hamish, how's it going? Going well so far, Marnus. Very fast-paced game, which you would assume means that we're going to see a few more gaps opening up in the later stages. But I do have to say, if anyone said after 20 minutes we would have just seen the one try of Tom Christie, I feel like no one would have believed you. Like Tom Christie, like I said, he doesn't score a huge amount. He's actually scored twice this season, but 9 throughout his career, and he scored it out on the wing. We've got their winter sucks. Why can't we heat real? Hate all? Something from Albert. We have their eye all. Sears or Robert Welcomen. On the halfway line, Cullen Grace runs it hard at Jacobson. Now locked over the ball. A headstand there for the Chiefs player, Akoi, but he does get the penalty first. He hit the ball and then loses his footing. That is a crucial one to win there for the Chiefs. Looks like Tamaiti Williams just doing up the shoelace. Ollie Norris, he is down again. Now, he did take a head knock last week. It looks like he is all right. Just for now, winter sucks. Why can't we have real... Oh, okay. Why can't we have real global warming? Says Albert, I see. So you cut it off a little bit early. But yeah, big shot. Oh, yeah, Norris has taken another head knock there. That's now 2 weeks in a row. So Hayden Ross sounds like he is... Is he going to make his way onto the field? Maybe. And we have got there... you only got one eye. What happened to the other one? Says Drape. And also Albert, real global winning. Says Demon. And now thrown in by Brodie McAllister, taken by Naito Akoi. That was a interesting decision from Jacobson. He thought the maul was there, but it was just a couple players in the line out. So he actually ended up hitting into the back of his teammates, which then became obstruction. They're just saying there about the unforced errors of the Chiefs. There's been a few too many throughout this first 25 minutes. And Hamish wins 100 men or a silverback gorilla. Once again, I feel like this gorilla's just taken a lot of stick in the last little while. And I said the best way to fight a gorilla is just put a mirror in front of it. Then it will probably fight itself. And then you're good. You can just leave. Oh, that was a good shot on David Arvelli sliding into Luke Jacobson on the ground. Now Braden Enoch, good shot on him too by Simon Parker. There's some big physicality being shown. That was a shot off the ball on Arvelli. But now down the blind side, going off to the right. Once again with a pick and go, moving up to the 22. Slow getting back up here is Brodie McAllister, who also looks like he might have taken a knock to the head in this one. Yeah, no, he's doing that, which is never good. Might have had his cobwebs rattled, and that will be another penalty, though, to the Chiefs in the breakdown. This time it's Cortez Ratama who pops up with it. Oh, yeah, and the Jet lives in Cape Town. As Reese playing, he is indeed out on the left wing for this contest, with Fiaki out on the right. I think Jacobson just having a little bit of a chat there with Ben O'Keefe. I also never fight a Cyclops on a Friday night, says Sebastian. And hey, Mish, says try dive down under and all cats. Welcome back. It's been a little while since we have seen you. Hopefully you have been keeping well. Just checking for foul play, but by the sounds of it, there is none. And gorilla are scared of snakes. Even a toy snake makes them run for the hills. Try it at the zoo. I feel like the zoo wouldn't like it if you did that. We once went to a zoo for a school trip, and there were monkeys in like an enclosure, and there was a bit of water, and the water had turtles in it. And I still remember a monkey got a stick and started bashing the turtle like it owed it money. And ever since then, you know, I've just been surprised by monkeys. The fact that just the turtle was chilling and he went, nah, I'm going to whack it with a stick. Might as well. And now, nicely thrown in. Naitai Akoi claims that one. Ratama goes across to Damian McKenzie, who does kick it high. Now, no, not taken cleanly by Reves Rehana. Massive knock on. That's why I eat porridge, because of monkeys bashing turtles with sticks. Same. If Reece scores 3 tries, he might be the top try scorer, says Himothy. Yeah, for now he just needs the 2 to catch up with TJ Perenara. 1 would get him drawing with him. Now to Leroy Carter. Going back across to the right-hand side. Wallace Satiti. They've shut him down really well here. Not the greatest Dimoni at basketball last night, so hopefully that does recover relatively quickly. Although knees are one of those ones that if you rush back, it can cause some pretty big problems. Naitoa Coit, tackle by Mighty Williams. The big man's on the ball and he gets another steal. And come on, the Chiefs get a try already, says Nov Mum. I heard of someone going berserk on a smashing spree with an axe after being told Doc Martens are just boots. Was it in your town? Probably not. It sounds like it would be more in some sort of asylum than just a town. We have their raining cats and dogs in Wellington, Western Cape. I expect a wet Stormers game, says Bruce. And we have there go the Saders, says Rock. And there as well. Knee hyperextended badly when I had to rebound the ball. Hyperextensions are ugly because that gets into all your tendons and everything like that, all the little muscles that aren't supposed to be stretched the way that they are. Cody Taylor, ready to throw this one in. The Crusaders just inside of the Chiefs 22 here. Managing to claim it at the front was Cullen Grace. Hard landing for him as well as the Chiefs player who did have a bit of a slip in the process too. And come on, Chiefs, you can do it. Says my path. And also time remaining at the moment. We have still got another 10 minutes in the first half. Another penalty. Oh, in fact, they are going back for that line out. They're saying that the Chiefs player did drag him down dangerously. So in which case the Chiefs will probably be about 5 metres out from their line with another line out here from the looks of it. I may have done my meniscus. Says try tying down under. Yeah, that will take a bit of time to heal up, I would think. I was just going to say that now, no tries at all, or just the one, but no tries at all, says Trape. Right, Brodie McAllister is going off for an HIA. That should have happened about 3 minutes ago when he was sitting there trying to work out what day it was and going like that, trying to shake out the cobwebs. But either the mouthguard or someone's realised he's a bit wobbly, so that brings Samasoni Tolkiaho out onto the field. Nicely taken by Cullen Grace at line-out time again. The Crusaders will look for the rolling maul. They're being told to use it once. It's not really going forward at the moment, though. Now it is starting to move. They were told to use it. Now Otham dragging Simon Parker out of the equation. Christian Leo Willie, was that one sacked legally from the Chiefs? By the sounds of it, it was. They look off to the right-hand side. Hotham finds Braden Enor, who tries to step, goes on the outside. Another little show and go there, and he's tackled up by Leroy Carter, 10 metres out from the line. Bit of a counter ruck. Hotham hangs on well and gives it off to Fletcher Null. This will be a moment and a half if the Crusaders can score just before the halftime break. Hotham off to Tom Christie would be an even bigger one if it was Christie who crossed the try line yet again. To Mighty Williams. Now moving forward. Off to the side. Passes to Shea Fiaki. Oh, Reves Rehana almost sneaking through a gap, but isolating himself. No penalty advantage. Going to the Crusaders. That's a big shot on Barrett, but he reaches out. And Scott Barrett, the try scorer there, their second of the contest. That gives them a nice lead. We have the highest position the Stormers can place now is 5th. After the Sharks beat the Ospreys last night, now they just need to win both their games and beat Cardiff next week. Yeah, the URC quarterfinals have actually been confirmed in terms of the top 4 sides and when they are playing. But yeah, there's still a lot of questions about who will be the next 4 that do get the chance. We have got Yahoo, says Lord Rapture, and New Zealand will host 3 games against France, 1 in Dunedin, 2 at FMG Stadium, 3 in Wellington. Says Himothy, but a big shot on Barrett, who then reached out and just gets that ball onto the line. Give them the handy lead. Where can I watch live for free, says Kurabati. Unfortunately, there aren't too many free options around for these games, unless you sign up for like a free trial to a streaming software like a Stan Sport or something like that. They normally do a 1 week free trial. Kickable one should be, definitely because he nailed his last kick right near the sideline for Revis Rehana. This one about 25 metres out, taking his time and almost charged down and misses away to the side in the end. So actually got the easier kick missed and the harder kick did go over. Do you have an Xbox Elite Wireless Series 2 controller? Mine that comes with the Xbox pack to SAD down to a Turtle Beach React Art Xbox Nubella wired controller now. I do not know. I just have the stock standard one that came with the Xbox. Now, that's going to be a penalty this time. I think that was blocking access to the ball. Oh, in March 10, someone had a bit of yappa to the ref. Oh, it was Christian Leo Willie. Ben O'Keefe just saying there, if you say any of that stuff again, I'm going to be sending you off the field and telling your mum. Christian Leo Willie has been given the final warning there. To know not to mess with Ben O'Keefe. And Crusaders for me, says Elliot. It's actually made this a lot more of a kickable 3 here for Damien McKenzie. He's still playing Rugby 25. Not a huge amount. The game's a bit broken still. So I haven't really played it in the last maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, ever since that that Hurricanes career mode did come to an end. Can you quickly show us the Super Rugby Pacific table and how things are looking at the moment? The way that they are looking are these two sides at the top of the table, and they are clashing here in this matchup. The Crusaders have an extra game in hand. The Brumbies and the Reds right behind them. If the Brumbies win their game, they will actually move into second. But they would have to beat the Western Force for that to be a reality. So they've got a really good shot of being able to get within those top couple spots. And we have got there going for the 3. A good choice, get the points on the board, says Novmum. And there's a Wellington in the USA, UK, Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, says Albert. So popular name. All slipped there from Satiti, who ended up catching the arm of David Havili on the way down. And going for the 3, good choice. Get points on the board. And also, if Crusaders win this, they'll reclaim the lead, says Rock. That is correct. Now, Damien McKenzie kicking this one downfield and doesn't get a massive amount of distance on it, but the penalty. Oh. Okay, Wallace Satiti's actually got a bleeding nose now. That is because of that Havili. It's a swinging arm, but it wasn't on purpose, if that makes sense. Satiti slipped down, and then David Havili was trying to tackle him, and he just kind of disappeared on him. Okay, unless that Vaseline does it, we're going off straight away, I think is the call there from Ben O'Keefe. So Wallace Satiti trying his best to stop that nose from sneaking away. Yes, there used to be app live stream, says Albert, for the option of being able to watch it. But yeah, not a huge amount of free options. No, that nose is going for Wallace Satiti. Oh, Cody Taylor talking to the touch judge. Going now to Antonio Shalfoon. And again, the rolling ball here for the Crusaders. And Chiefs playing in the wrong part of the field, says Gerhard. Yeah, with just the 4 minutes remaining in this half, I have to make sure that no mistakes are made here for the Chiefs defence. They've been told to use it once. Cody Taylor told to use it again. We'll go off to the short side. Hotham tries to show his power game. He does not weigh a huge amount compared to the men he was running at. He somehow stayed inside of the field of play. Pick and go around the side for Christian Leo Willie. New advantage this time for offside against the Chiefs. Sever Reese hit hard by Naito Akui. Hotham shifts it again. Havili bounce pass to Shafiak. He looked like he knocked that one on. Yes, he did. And they will go back for the original penalty in favour of the Crusaders. Again, I hope the Chiefs win this season. Says Timothy. Yeah, the Crusaders are looking like the hard side to beat at the moment. Last 5 penalties conceded. We have seen 3 of which against the Chiefs. They must tap the ball, and Severis is now told, nah, get out of it. We're going for the line out. Crusaders win, says Suliano. And a try here would certainly get them a long way towards it. Now ready to throw it in. Oh, nicely taken by Cullen Graves and Brewster Pub is Main Street opposite. The traffic officer says good on now, pick and go. Still going for the Crusaders. Thought about reaching out, maybe a double movement there. No, it is short. We'll pop it off to Tamaiti Williams. They're told to get out of there, the Chiefs, as much as they wanted that turnover in the breakdown. Unable to get out. There is a chance at a try. There it is, grounded, and it's Shalfoon who gets it. It is the day of the non-normal try scorers. Oh, yeah, better push and shove there. Shalfoon's still lying on the ground. I think he might have been slightly crushed there. I think, yeah, he's back up to his feet now. So Shalfoon, Barrett, and Tom Christie, the 3 try scorers at the moment for the Crusaders. This is very unlikely in comparison to what we would normally see. At the loop around, they were just short of the line, with Sevu Reece having a really close chance of being able to score it. And then Shalfoon does get the ball and just has a good old run forward. Manages to finish it off. Yahugo, the Satyr, says Lord. And the day of the non-try scorer, says Blues Nate. I imagine if you had these 3 in a multi to all score, you probably would have been getting back about $100. Oh, Leroy Carter almost able to charge it down again there. But this time it does go over, so he might have to make a little adjustment in the way that he prepares for his kicks, Reves Rehana, as Carter's quick enough to all but get there. They're going to just show that grounding there for Antonio Shalfoon. Managed to get over the line. And 3rd try of the match now for the Crusaders. So as we currently sit, they are in the position of a bonus point. Just got a hit back in the second half. Says Novmum, that one's going to be knocked on. Now Cortez Ratima goes back across McKenzie. Trying to find his way through. Now Ratima, he couldn't find the ball. It was on the other side of the big forward in front of him. And Moni Narua goes across to Quinn Tupaia. We have good there. Can you show me the last draw of games? Says Timothy. I can show you their very last game, which was... In fact, no, that's not the right one. One moment. We'll go like this. We'll go like that. So that was their game last round. They managed to get themselves a win over the Reds. 36 points to 33. In terms of their most recent game, I don't know if you really want to see it, but I'll show you it anyway. And it was the game that took place as a part of this round. As you can see there, 34 points to 5 in favour of the Blues. Another penalty goes the way of the Chiefs. That is for a dangerous tackle against the Crusaders. And the other close game taking place yesterday was actually the Reds versus Waratahs game, only split by the 7 points, 1 try was the difference maker there. Looks like now they will be able to kick this one towards the sideline. Now McKenzie's almost wearing a cast on his wrist, I should have mentioned. He didn't actually look too keen to catch that ball with that hand, which could be a little bit of a sign that it's not 100% as of yet. That kick has gone into touch now. Chance just at the end of the first half. Hi TKL, New Zealand Rugby is back. Says Quincy there. And I don't know of Duke. Only been here 13 years so far. And also, how's it, Hamish? I'm man down with the flu. But watching the stream, so I do appreciate you being here, Birdie. Hopefully you do recover very soon. Thrown in. Oh, Satiti does well to get a hand to it. Ratima goes back across. This is to get the Chiefs back in it. Heading towards the second half, though. The Crusaders, they will swarm those breakdowns and try and get themselves the steal. Now Ratima, pick and go again from Christie. Cody Taylor onto the ball, but loses the footing. Back across to the short side to Mike T. Williams, cleaned out. Ratima off now to Wallace Satiti again. It's been a day for the forwards at the moment. 3 tries, 3 forwards as the ones who got them. Another penalty advantage goes in favour of the Chiefs. Back across to the right-hand side here. Satiti, tackled by Grace and Null. That's a bit of a cheap shot on the ground on Fletcher. Null would have had a sore rib after that one. Sean Stevenson goes through, tries to pass, and Reece had cut it off, but Amoni Narua slams it down in the end, and I believe it's going to be a try. It was pretty scrappy, but I think there's a grounding. Oh. Narua doesn't look overly enthused here. Normally that is a sign of either a fatigued player or a player who knows he made a mistake. We're going to see it now. Sean Stevenson all but through. Tries to pass on the outside. And yeah, it's just whether or not there's that grounding of Narawa, which I believe there should be. Reese. A little bit of a slip there for Enor. Then picked up by Narawa. Yeah. Slams it down. And that is an important try for the Chiefs right on the verge of halftime. What happens in Moana shocked the world rugby by reaching the Super Rugby final this season. I think that, the way that they've played in some of their games, it would be thoroughly deserved. They are a side that I think some teams would be a little bit nervous playing them. Didn't need to pass. Surely momentum would have got him over. I think he would have been able to score it anyway. But, yeah, unselfishly decides try and pass to his teammate. And who have scored, says Dakash. So far, or Dashk, I should say, we have seen for the Chiefs, Amoni Narawa. For the Crusaders, Tom Christie, Scott Barrett, and Antonio Shalfoon. The 3 try scorers for them. If Moana makes the super final, a lot of heads will roll. Says Rape Moana needs to beat the Blues, Chiefs, and Hurricanes. Yeah, so it's not exactly an easy road, but I believe they've at least beaten one of those 3 sides, haven't they? Throughout their other matches, and luckily Reese dropped it though. Was botched otherwise, says Josh, and super kick D-Mac, says Gerhard. And of course they did still have that chance of going back for the original advantage anyway, so you'd assume there would have been a pretty good shot of getting a try at some point, but yeah, it's a good one to have right at the end of the first half. In terms of the odds in this contest, the Crusaders are $1.27 favourites, I do see, just as we currently sit. But just wonder whether or not if there's another try early on in the second half for the Chiefs, perhaps that could change it and get it back in their favour. Top of the table clash. The 2 benches. We've already seen a few of these players make their way onto the field. For the Chiefs, we have seen Aiden... Oh, no, I don't think Aiden Ross went out in the end. Norris decided to play through the head knock. Samasoni Taukiaho, he has made his way onto the field. Same with Gideon Rampling, and we haven't seen Daniel Rona return to the field, so I assume that he has failed the HIA. Taukiaho, I would be very surprised if they take him off, because Brody McAllister did not look one bit good when he was trying to get back up to his feet. For the Crusaders, they have taken off Will Jordan due to his injury. That brought on Dallas McLeod. That is the one change that the Crusaders have made just at this point. In terms of what is happening next week in the Super Rugby comp, the Chiefs do not play Moana Pacifica. They will be playing the Blues. That is the Saturday night 7:05 game. The Crusaders, they have got themselves a game up against the Waratahs. Highlanders versus Hurricanes is a New Zealand derby. Going to be happening on the Friday night. And then that Brumbies-Reds game, a really important one for both sides in terms of their overall season, because whoever wins that could just about get that little bit higher. And in fact, if the Brumbies win that, they could actually secure that home semi-final, if not maybe even a chance at a home final, if a few other upsets do happen along the way. My lineup for the draw is the Force. There's Ravai, Ikanaviri, and Donge. And then Vothi and Nasila as the number 5. My drawer, says Timothy. I think you're clicking enter a little bit too early. I think you did it twice in a row there. And we have got there super kick D-Mac, says Gerhard. Yeah, the way that this game currently sitting at halftime, relatively close. You know, with that last try, 9 points is nowhere near that massive separation that can't be made up. So we will have to wait and see exactly what does take place. In terms of the next games for the Chiefs, what is to come? They have got the bye next week, like I mentioned, but then they will be playing Moana Pacifica in the weekend after, so that will be a game to definitely keep an eye on. And then they have also got themselves game up against the Highlanders. That is happening in 22 days' time. For the Crusaders, they have, of course, got the Waratahs next week, and then I believe they've actually still got the extra 2 games. Now, I don't actually have the pop-up for them. I don't know where that one did disappear to, but if they do win this game, they will have a pretty decent shot of being top of the table at the end of this round. We have got Imagine Moana going to the final. The hype would be insane, says Nort. Yeah, it would be incredible to see, and it would definitely get the Pacific Islands right behind their side. But, yeah, it seems very tough to do with where they are, but causing upsets throughout the season has been something that Moana have done best. And it's normally when their back's against the wall that they actually thrive and really step it up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get one win out of those last three, maybe even sneak a second somewhere in there. And say it is hard to beat at home, says Josh. And there as well, although Moana, a side that managed to beat the Crusaders, and not only did they beat them by quite a large margin in that one too. But now, second half, only a couple minutes away from taking place. We'll go like that. We'll go like that as well. Oh, they're going to be doing the catch the Colonel. That is to win $500 worth of KFC. See whether or not he can win it. Now, sometimes we see the Colonel give up on the race. Now, that is something we won't see from either of these two sides. They will be in it for the full 80 minutes, trying their absolute hardest to get that win. Bonus point has been taken away from the Crusaders just as we currently sit. The bloke was just doing the stretching like that for a running race. So he might be one of those runners who really use the arms. He's going to be off. Trying to beat the Colonel in the halftime race. The Colonel's trying pretty hard here. The Cassius has got a little bit of toe and the Colonel's just stopped. Colonel gave up in the race. And we've got MKFC and I hope Jordan is okay. AB's need him. Still posting on the Kiwi Lad Sport. Not since like the last couple of years. Do I need the refresh for next season? Have you seen Super Rugby's plans to have a USA team in the comp? There have been rumours around. The Cheetahs is another side that we talked about as a possibility in Super Rugby. A Japanese side, an Argentine side. They've all been talked about. But, yeah, it's only once we get to actually see a side in the comp that we'll get to really say, yep, this side is here. I want a Zingers burger, says Blues name. Penalty goals. Just the one for Damian McKenzie. And also got the conversion over. So he's got himself 5 points from this contest. I believe even with those weeks off, he's still close to the leading point scorer of the competition. We've seen 114 tackles made by the Crusaders, only missing 8. So that is actually some pretty incredible stats there. Meters made 487 for the Chiefs, but they've only scored the one try. They've had all the meters in the world. They've had 3 line breaks. They've given away less penalties than the Crusaders, but they are down by 9. One moment, I am about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute. We are back. Looks like the Wars are on fire. Says Novam, second half is going to be a kicking game, mate. Says Tito. So what makes you think that? Do you think it's going to be kind of started by the Crusaders, or do you think it's going to be the Chiefs that try and opt for that kicking contest? Because throughout that first half, we saw more kicking meters from the Crusaders. It looks like they're building a big sandcastle in the background or something. I think that's Ethan Blackett. What's he doing building a castle out of foam? Seems like a good idea at the time, I guess. Tackle success, 93%. I personally don't like the idea. We should focus on improving the comp first before expanding it again, says Nort. Although it might have something to do with the record loss that New Zealand Rugby has sustained this year. $19 million revenue that they have lost from one season. So you wonder whether or not maybe that's something to do with it. Trying to get a USA market into the equation might not be a terrible idea. Clayton McMillan trying to fire up inside Go the Reds. Says Lowton, good luck the Chiefs, says NZ Riot. And we have the Ethan Blackett, another goat. And Go the Reds, says Lowton. Of course, there is going to be some more entertaining action taking place later on tonight with the Brumbies. They will be going head-to-head up against the Western Force. They are just showing the replay again. It was friendly fire. Cody Taylor and Will Jordan colliding. It's possibly hurt that Will Jordan knee. That actually looked like a nice touch there. Summer Penny Finau, I don't know whether or not he actually did, but it looked like he was going to go over to check on Will Jordan, but then it kind of cut away before we saw if he did or didn't. We have got their Donald professional sports team run at an operational loss, says Ashley. Some do. Like, that's the thing. They've also made a record, like, they've had a record amount of revenue this year, but it's that record loss that I think is the more concerning one because, you know, losing $19 million a year probably isn't sustainable for too long. Yes, you have sponsors and everything along those lines. But yeah, it is Ethan Blackadder who was trying to build a castle in the background out of foam. Looks like now they are trying to do it again. Just showing Sever Reese at the moment to score a try. It's $3.20. He wants to get to the tie with the leading try scorer. Will you be live for Super Rugby Albuquerque chat next season? I like that. Says Timothy. Not too sure. Some of the games did slightly overlap. In fact, didn't the final of Super Rugby Albuquerque take place at the same time as a Super Rugby match? Or was it prior to the first Super Rugby match? I think there was some sort of overlap, though. That meant that we were already live during the women's final, which seemed a little bit rough. Just showing Della Maddalena. He is going to be going head-to-head with Bilal Muhammad later on today, in fact. Well, tomorrow, by the time we do head to sleep. I don't think it'll work out. I don't think rugby is as popular as it is over there, or over here. Says not us, and the Wars always get smashed in the final. Says Ronnie, and good morning / evening, everyone. Says pleasure, welcome in. 19 points to 10 at the moment for the Crusaders. Their 3 try scorers, Tom Christie, Scott Barrett, and Antonio Shalfoon. So 3 men who normally don't score tries are the ones who have got them so far. And then for the Chiefs, they have got a man who knows how to score and does it relatively often, and that is Amoni Narawa, the lone try scorer. There we're having a Will Jordan, bit of friendly fire. He ran forward, ended up hitting into Cody Taylor as well as a couple Chiefs defenders, and his knee collided with Taylor's. So he's gone off. No real injury update, other than the fact that he didn't get stretchered off the field. He walked. We have got there Artie moving to Samoa national team. If he is, he's got to wait another, I think it's 2 years before he would be eligible, as you do have to have a stand-down period of 3 years to be able to do so. So more than likely he'll just be back into the New Zealand side. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe one day he does end up making that switch. The thing is, Julian Savia theoretically couldn't he? Because he has been out of the AB setup for long enough. So, who knows? Maybe Savia does follow him. Yeah, second half. I am wondering whether or not, with all the tackles that we've seen in the first half, whether that might end up leading to some sort of, I guess, a little bit of a gap in the defence. Like, making 114 tackles at a 93% is incredibly impressive for the first half from the Crusaders, but surely that slows you down a little bit. I honestly think the Crusaders are the one to win Super Rugby this year. I don't think the Yanks are going to help New Zealand Rugby. We desperately need to get the South African back in Super Rugby, says David, although like that seems to be a split opinion too, because some people absolutely love seeing the South Africans in the URC, with the fact that the Champions Cup is also on the line, or the Challenge Cup, and it's also the same time zone, so it's working quite nicely. Like, I think that some South Africans would say that they're happier now, but then there are also the others who would say that they're missing Super Rugby. Because we cover both comps, we get quite a bit of both sides of it. I think Tamafalau is Scott Robinson's radar, says Timothy, and 12-0 at the moment for the Warriors, so they have started very well. In fact, they've started this whole season extremely well too, with the way that they've been playing. But now, I would say if we get any less than 3 tries in the second half, it would be a surprise. In fact, I think we could actually see more than we saw in the first half. Had a bit of a test match feel about it in terms of the defensive lines really not budging. I mean, the Chiefs, we didn't really mention their defence, but it has been relatively strong too. Would you think New Zealand Rugby would make more money if they lowered the price of their tickets, says Not Os? It's a tricky one because, like, of course, as someone who just watches the rugby, I don't know the whole financials behind it. I don't know whether with the prices that they've got at the moment, they are actually making more than if they had lower prices and sold out stadiums. Of course, it looks a lot better when you got a stadium sold out rather than those empty seats. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Like I said, $19 million I would think would be quite hard to lose in a financial year, but they've managed to do so. We have there, I just miss the South Africans and Super Rugby comp, says David the Mod, and come on the Rebels, come back to Super Rugby season, says Timothy. Have they made a live action movie of Lilo and Stitch? Is that what I've just seen an ad for? made a live action movie of pretty much everything, haven't they? And I haven't seen any of them, or most movies, to be fair as well. But second half, I would say we're only probably about a minute or two away from it getting underway. And the Yanks are already occupied with the MLR and trying to grow rugby in the States through their own comp, says Nort. It'll be good to see nations like Canada, USA get stronger though. And Scarlets are also a type of red in it, says Sebastian. Yeah, they've got an important game just around the corner, one that, of course, Flesham will be nervous about. Chiefs should hold the ball, don't give it to the Crusaders. Yeah, they had a few times where they just kicked it away slightly aimlessly, although a couple of those kicks almost did lead to chances. It seemed to just be the bounce of the ball wasn't quite what they would have liked. Like to McMillan saying it's been a pretty solid game so far. Okay, so he's pretty much said that the tries from the Crusaders have come from either errors from us or good tactical kicking from the Crusaders. So, you know, we will see a few more kicks, I would think, from the Crusaders in the second half. Everything nostalgic is becoming live action adaptation, says Not Ost. Are people enjoying the live actions as much as the original ones? Like, I don't dabble in that kind of situation. In terms of, like, I've watched, like, one movie this year. It's quite sad in a way, but, like, do people go, that was better than the original, or is it the nostalgia that then gets taken away because it's now new? If that makes sense. I can make a new team on Super Rugby and make 13 teams, the Melbourne Vikings. Says Timothy. Crusaders can win the title, says Dash. And now, second half has now got back underway. The Chiefs in position, about 30 metres out from their line. Now they're being told to use it. Cortez Ratama. I'll put this ball nice and high. Charging downfield, chasing after their own kick there were the Chiefs, but Fiaki. And just to regather it. Back across to the right-hand side, Cody Taylor sitting 40 metres out from the line. Bulls Hotham, I should say, has to jump onto it. Havili, pass on the outside, goes to Dallas McLeod. Very close to the sideline. Good physicality, and they didn't quite manage to drive him into touch. Back across to Christian Leo Willie. If you do plan to watch one of these live actions, I recommend Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Says Not Os. And we have got there, what do you think about the name Me? I assume you click the enter button again. And we go there, yeah, the Saders. Says Highlanders fan. Chiefs 40 metres out from the line. Still with that change of Brodie McAllister off the field, I believe anyway. Unless he's managed to recover from that one. Loose ball, Crusaders pouncing on it again. They've been really strong. In fact, McAllister's back out there. So he must have passed the test. Now gets to continue. But someone who I don't think has returned out onto the field is Daniel Rona. He's stayed replaced by Gideon Rappling. Hotham. 40 metres out from the line once again. This game being played just in the middle part of the field. Fletcher, no offload. I don't think anyone expected that one. Back across to Cullen Grace, who will run it at Simon Parker. Across to David Havili. Still trying to make a couple extra metres here and there for this Crusaders side. Noah Hotham. Go for the box kick. Let's go straight into the hands of Damien McKenzie, who was 40 out from his own line now. Sean Stevenson looking for the 50-22. No one back there for the Crusaders. Bounce of the ball goes out. And that was a mistake from Hotham that led to a brilliant chance now for the Chiefs. Looked like Leroy Carter half by thinking about taking it quickly again. Still from that sevens background, of course. So everything's played at 110% in that game. But it is a brilliant kick of mine from Sean Stevenson. McKenzie passed it across to him. And that is exactly what led to the Crusaders' first try of the match. So you'd have to assume Chiefs will be backing themselves to go in here. Callister gets it into the hands of Wallace Atiti. Simon Parker steaming towards the try line. Only 1 metre short here for the Chiefs. But the comeback is well and truly on. Naitoa Akoi once again just short. Ratama change of direction. McKenzie steps through and scores. And the Chiefs score early in the second 40. I'm a Star Wars fan from way back. The Andor series is a spin-off. It's epic. And we have got there still pouring with rain here in Cape Town, London weather. Well, luckily at the game, I don't think we've seen any rain around. It's been pretty good conditions. A little bit of dew around. Mackenzie just cutting through. It was a great run from Simon Parker off the back of the line out, but both sides having a 50-22 that has then led them to be able to score the try. And that now gets the Chiefs well and truly back into this match. Only 4 down with the kick to come. And let's go, boys. Chiefs loud back in. And yes, says NZ right. And there as well. And Chiefs still got a chance. Absolutely. Being down by 9 at halftime, they have more than enough of a chance being able to get into this game. Now, Mackenzie, need to line up this one in live app. Suggestions for Rugby Union, says Maisel. I think there's a MLR one that actually shows the games. Rugby Pass TV is another one that's not too bad in terms of being able to watch some games. You won't be able to see them all, though, mainly because of the broadcasting restrictions. We have got there, let's go, says Novmum. Maybe the breakdown was not so inaccurate, as the South Africans had 2 teams in their first URC final. South African club teams suck. So perhaps the URC is actually what Stephen Donald said it was. It's just not, though. But it's going to be kicked off long, nicely taken by Quinn Tupaia. Going off to Wallace Satiti. And there's going to be a nice steal there from the Crusaders. And there is a knock-on from the Chiefs. Chiefs finding their rhythm momentum building. Says Blues name, Bet365 says Jonathan. Clayton McMillan must have given a great halftime speech. Well, he had to, because they did seem at times a little bit flat. And like he said during his halftime interview, they felt like they let Crusaders at times just get the better of them in a couple situations due to errors and that tactical kicking. Welcome back, Damien McKenzie, says NZ Riot. We have got there, Clayton McMillan. Oh, no, I read that one, and I hope this name will be named in Super Rugby Pacific. Later, Melbourne Vikings. And I always thought you had excellent taste, says David Tefleshin. But now, 7 handling errors from the Chiefs. Compared to the 5 of the Crusaders. So it's been a little bit error-filled in this one. Ready to feed this ball in game on now, says Gerhard. Going off to the right-hand side. Chance for Reves Rehana. Right to sneak his way through now off to the right-hand side. Che Fiaki. It's a bit of a slip and a slide. They are looking to fire straight back after conceding. With that missed kick from Mackenzie, it does mean if they can score here, the Crusaders, they will have a lead of around 11. South African clubs spread too thin with weak rand. The core of players just outside Bok team playing overseas. And we are back up. Says Brian, it's going to be play on. Reves Rehana gets rid of that one. Hotham. Now on the short side. Good league drive from the 9. Scott Barrett pops it up for the Crusaders throughout this match. Their goal has been to score with players who don't normally. So I would say Fletcher Null. Next try scoring prediction there. David Arvili, that's a pretty rough kick. It's about the 4th time we've seen a grubber attempted in this game, and I don't think any of them have worked. Leroy Carter now, though. Chance for the Chiefs. Cuts back in, and Leroy Carter scores for the Chiefs. That all came from the grubber attempt. When are these two sides going to learn to stop doing those? But seems like every error that the Chiefs did in the first half to allow the Crusaders to score, the Crusaders have said, let's run it back, but let's do the error this time. And I love an underdog win, says Albert. But yeah, rough kick from David Arvili. No one was getting anywhere near that one, except for getting in and grappling, and then popped it up to Leroy Carter. Pure pace. Fletcher Null almost had to make the last-ditch tackle there, which tells you that someone was out of position too. And we have got the air boys, says not Oz. And now just like that, they've gone from 9 down at halftime to 1 up after 46 or 47 minutes, in fact. And yeah, boy, says not Oz. Crusaders for the win. Was a little bit earlier on from John Wilson, and that kick has gone over from Mackenzie, now giving the Chiefs a 23 points to 19 lead. Yeah, let's go Chiefs, keep it up. Says Novmum. So this has been, I think the only way to really describe it is an absolutely awful 8 minutes for the Crusaders and a phenomenal one for the Chiefs. And it just shows how quickly a competition can be flipped on its head in terms of a match. Carter, just pure pace when he gets that kind of space to be able to work with. It should be 22. says Novmam. So hopefully the scoreboard does update itself in the near future. But now going to be kicking this one off. Nicely taken by Quintupai from inside of his own 22, making about 10 metres. Seems like now Crusaders are starting to miss a few. And they have plenty wings, Man Carter and Narawa. Right, Ben O'Keefe yelling at a lot of Chiefs players to stay on side. Kicked him behind. Just watching the bounce of the ball there for Sean Stevenson. And does get it into touch. Big boot downfield. Next try may win the match. Says Jonathan. And also we've got their scorer smoking something. Says not. And Chiefs for Life says Brian in there as well. Currently 30 minutes remaining in this contest. I don't think we'll be too far off seeing subs for both of these sides. And perhaps that's what the Crusaders need. Just a little bit of a reshuffle in the side as something has been going drastically wrong at the start of the second half. Oh, Tom Christie just ate a boot to the face. It's probably going to knock his nose off, or at least maybe a tooth will go flying for that man. And it does look like straight away he's doing the tapping as if to say, yep, nah, she's bleeding. He might have to get a little bit of attention there. Now it's kicked high. Oh, knocked on by Leroy Carter. In fact, it was off the leg, they've said. I'm guessing this game is going to be a nail-biter finish. It does look that way. Another grubber attempted. This time by Braden Enoy. It goes into touch this time. I'm on 5 and my Whisper, this streaming site is 9 loaded up. There's a reason South African clubs are not so good, but I like the URC because it makes me feel South African clubs are not so bad. It's no Super 12 though. Says Rehash. And it's one of those ones, like, it's all down to personal preference as well, isn't it? Like, some people, like, live by the URC and Champions Cup rather than Super Rugby. And I feel like, you know, it's just one of those ones, you can like both, you can like one. But, yeah, it's one of those ones, it's just different strokes for different folks, isn't it? Some people like the top 14. Some people absolutely despise it due to the way that the teams play in terms of a little bit more of a territory-based game. But I find it very interesting to see the different ways that rugby can be played while all adapting to the same law set. We have got how long to go? Still another 29 minutes, so plenty of time for these two sides. Nice take from Sean Stevenson just inside of his half. Now Ratama going back across to the right-hand side. McKenzie. You are the bomb, mate. Says Ryan, thank you very much, mate. And go the Chiefs play territory. Make sure if you kick must go out. Defend hard. Yeah, the last thing that both of these sides I think should be attempting is that grubber kick. The grubber kick has been the downfall for so many sides. Or at least been the downfall for both of these two. Okay, let's go Chiefs. Says moi. Now David Havili does the step and tries to bump off Brody McAllister. Now back across to Shea Fiaki as their World Club Championship coming in 2026. They've talked about it. It might end up happening. We have good there, why bust your nuts over different comps. It's all rugby just in different clothes. Exactly right. Like, I feel like people at times are more worried about like trying to degrade other comps rather than just praising their own. Like, it's easy to just say, like, you find Super Rugby the best, rather than saying, I find Super Rugby the best, but I have to say that this competition I don't like. Rather than just, you know, just going with the comp that you like. We have got the hello, go the Chiefs, watching from Fiji. But back to that World Club Championship. It sounds like that is the plan. Not sure how it's going to work out. I think it's going to be during an international rugby window, which means no one will be playing international rugby. Or at least most of the top sides won't be, because they will be locked into a Club World Cup situation. However, do you think this is the best, or the Super Rugby season? It's one of the better seasons of rugby just based on the unpredictable wins. So as in, like, based off Super Rugby seasons of the past. This year, I think that the perfect example was the fact that I think since the first time, since about 1998, at about round 3 or 4 in the comp, we had every single side win a game. So it just shows you that in terms of competitiveness, it has been right up there with some of the better competitions that we've seen. It hasn't really been a one-horse race at all. There's been multiple lead changes. I mean, you look at someone like the Blues, a side that at times didn't look like they were going to make the burst to the top 6. Now look at them, sitting in 5th place. Hurricanes, they had some rough games, sitting 5-5 with a draw in between, but they're still up there. Chance, if they get 1 or 2 more wins, to be able to go on and make it to those playoff games. We had 4 Australian sides within the top 6 at one point of the competition, and that wasn't even just at the very early stages. It was a little bit later. So, yeah, I think it's been one of the better ones in terms of underdogs that we've seen. Why do coaches never play Rico at 11? Says Dash. It's a good question. I don't know whether or not Rico wants to play 11, though. That's the tricky part. Like, it's very easy for us to all say he's better on the wing, but if he's the one who's saying, I want to be a centre, or I'd rather play centre, then, that's an ugly clean out there. Quintapai tried to charge it down and ended up using the body, so they will be a penalty in favour of the Crusaders, and it will go right back to where that ball landed as well. No more Rugby Championship of Six Nations because of 10 teams comp. I think they are still having both of those alongside it. It's just separate to that. We're also getting the big the big championship thing. Reves Rehana. Ready to kick this one into touch. They've just said there was no intent from Quintapai to take him out, but he did land on him. Said an old man voice, back in my day, Super 10 was the best. Says Rehash. This ref needs glasses for that clean out, Josh, or for something else? Because, you could say he didn't mean to do it, but he still ended up smashing into the guy kicking it, and there is still that responsibility of protecting the kicker. You just said I should reach 50 subscribers and go live. Says Timothy, and Super 8 was solid. Feel like he does want to play 11. You can tell by his face in the games. So you can tell by looking at his face or kind of facial expressions, rather than just thinking, he looks a bit angry or looks frustrated. You can tell straight away he wants to be on the wing. You got some pretty good body language and facial recognition skills, I do have to say. That's a nice strip there from the Chiefs. They've managed to get this ball back. Amoni Narawa having a few close calls inside of his 22 in terms of slipping over. It's going to be kicked downfield from McKenzie. Running across was Shea Fiaki. Didn't get to the bounce of the ball, but saves it back to Dallas McLeod. We'll now get the ball about 40 metres out from the line. Wallace Satiti gets the steal. And now Sean Stevenson again will kick it in behind, and again will get close to a 50-22. This time the ball does not bounce in his favour though. Reese in the middle of the field has to kick this one out. And to his credit, very good kick from Sever Reese. Who got the steal? Wallace Satiti. Was the one to get it. I reckon Hamish Katu stand up. Nah, no chance. I feel like anytime someone says, tell us a joke, I can't think of a joke. So that wouldn't be good in a stand-up comedy situation. What's up, yo? Says Tanner, welcome in. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Chance here again. Now Ratama. Going back to Leroy Carter. You don't need a competition, just the European champions versus Super Rugby champions in a 3-game series. Yeah. Although last time they tried it, I feel like they really butchered it, didn't they? When it was the one-on-one between Crusaders and Munster, when Munster had none of the internationals, Crusaders had half their players gone compared to last season, and it happened at the same time as the Six Nations game, so no one really knew it was happening. Is it weird if I'm not happy about the ref for the game? Says Josh. Is it weird? I'd assume not, but I was just wondering what decision it was that you weren't happy about, because you said this ref's blind, so I assume that was one of those scenarios recently. I always thought George was the comic relief, respectfully. Respectfully. So as long as it's in brackets, respectfully, it's fine. He's certainly loud, George, and doesn't have a filter whatsoever. You do crowd work. I don't know. I feel like I'm not quick enough for that. You got to have a real quick wit about you, but my brain sometimes runs a bit slow. Let's go, boys, says moi. Sure, you've got a dad joke somewhere in there. Hard to say, really. Sometimes when you put on the spot, it just doesn't happen. That's going to be now the 3 points for Damian McKenzie. He is robotically wired for rugby. Says Dano, the Chiefs are pretty good, especially with Damian McKenzie playing. And just joined the feed, seems like the Chiefs showed up today. Well, the first half you would have said otherwise. They actually really came into the second half with a vengeance. Did you get a haircut? Not for like the last month or so, I don't think. How good has Moana been, says Dash. they've been very solid this year. Definitely for a side that a lot of people at the start of the season said they're not going to go that far. They'll be about where the draw are. And they've just gone a lot better, you know. They've stepped up. They've had some great games. They've had some brilliant wins. I want to take the 3 there. I'd play on. Says Stephen. Exactly, it was a joke, but that June window at the Indian Sevens as in could have club championship as well. Says Fleshin. Now, kicking this one down towards the sideline. Now, I should mention that chance of a Crusaders bonus point has pretty much completely disappeared unless they find some really strong moments in the next little while. I always thought it was funny that the refs were sponsored by Specsavers. Says Colossus. George not having a filter sounds like my wife. Says Gerhard, there's going to be a knock-on. Oh no, there's actually going to be an advantage for a not straight throw. So now, McKenzie goes off to Quinn Tupoio, moves up towards the halfway line. No advantage. That is for not rolling away against David Havili. A bit of a shaky game so far. I'm still nervous. 20 minutes goes to anyone's game. Says Novmum. And come on, the Chiefs defend, says FBI. So I just need to go east or west. And Simasoni Tokiaho, while the ref was doing his motions, got a bop on the head from him. 9 penalties, though, against the Crusaders. Their discipline has almost taken them out of this contest. And one more try for the Chiefs here could be the end of it. Of course, that last 10 minutes, so that is when this game can change. 4 of the last 5 penalties have been against the Crusaders, and McKenzie doesn't find touch with his kick. Reves Rehana certainly does. They won't be as far down the field as they would have liked to be. I'd drop a 3 here, go 3 up, or 8 up. Says Stephen. Crusaders just need to take it easy, and the Crusaders are showing signs of being rattled. Says David the Monitor. It does look like they're making a few changes, and this will be one of the very smart ones, I believe. It's James O'Connor making his way onto the field. We saw Corey Callow make his way out for Tom Christie, who had a couple issues with a boot to the face. Now in the middle of the field, Leroy Carter, tackle well by the Crusaders. Now Ratama, back across to Samapini Finau. Been quiet this game, although to be fair, the loose forward trio for the Chiefs that time have been. Finau, of course, only just recently making his way onto the field as the sub though, but that is going to be another penalty going the way of the Chiefs. And March 10. Someone should be going to the bin here. There was already a warning about the back chat. Okay, he affects the clean out. Okay, no, sorry. That wasn't actually marched back 10. It was just Ben O'Keefe going to tell them off. Do you think that James O'Connor makes the squad for the Lions? I think he'd be a decent option, depending on what their plan is with Noah Lolesio. I feel like he's the big question mark at the moment in terms of whether or not they're still going to select him, even with him going overseas. Yeah, affecting the clean out there for Corey Callow, just not rolling away in time. Now, chance here for Damien McKenzie to line up another 3, and this will give the Chiefs a very handy 8-point lead. In fact, it would actually be a 9-point lead at this stage of the match. So the same margin as the Crusaders were leading at halftime. That kick is good from McKenzie. 28 points to 19 now. And this has been a game of 2 halves, says Novmum, and Chiefs have the best bomb squad, says Brian. Hey, I reckon O'Connor will be in the squad, says Gold-Blooded Rugby. With a name like Gold-Blooded Rugby, I feel like that's got to be Australian-related, is it? And if so, who are your other 10s that you'll be going with? Are you giving Donaldson a bit of a crack? Maybe Liner be another guy that does make his way in. It's going to be taken back here by the Chiefs, so Ratama pass it across to the side. I told them off like a school teacher ref. And let's go. The Chiefs, says Gabriel, and Territory Boys hold on to the ball. Keep carry on, says FBI. Ratama. And I kick this one down. Feels Scott Barrett looking at the ref because he wasn't allowed to go for the turnover around the halfway line now. It's James O'Connor already trying to find a bit of an impact and a bit of a game-changing moment. Leinart, Donaldson and O'Connor. Says Gold-Blooded Rugby, and 13 years ago, James O'Connor was the starting 10. 13 years later, could be on the bench. Says It was there from Blues Nate. So, yeah, a little bit of a full circle for James O'Connor there. And Go Crusaders says Amos McKenzie, the best kicker in the league. He's got the most points. I think accuracy-wise, he's relatively up there as well. But, yeah, oh, no, terrible pass from Barrett. Doesn't find the hands of Null. Probably would have been forward anyway. And that is going to be now going back for a scrum for the Chiefs due to the knock-on. The last 15 minutes, Chiefs need to play in Crusaders half, says Goodhart. Yeah, it will become a game of territory for these two sides. Patrick Pellegrini says Nort. And would you select fringe players for the Wallabies and the All Blacks in the Anzac squad, considering I would have the All Blacks XV? I think that there will be a few guys in there that just are on the verge of missing out, but yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one to know exactly who the players will be that they sign, whether or not their Anzac team is actually going to be more of a veteran side. You know, I feel the older players around getting to have another crack. Although you can't go too old, of course, because they're still going to be up against the Lions. James O'Connor playing against the B Lions. Says Rehash. Possibly making the Australian squad. James O'Connor, I would say. But Ratama going off to the left-hand side. McKenzie goes over the top. Fiaki. And just to grab that one and kicks it into touch. That'll only be 15 metres out for the line. Great territory. This is literally a game of two halves, like Novmum said earlier on. One side having some really good moments throughout the first, and then the second half, the team that made all the errors have somehow passed them on to the other side. We have got there. Here's my me typing about Paul Harvili by O'Connor, like first microorganism. Says Drape. And one more try, says Roof. Now a big run from Quintubai. Yeah, one more try would get this one extremely close to being over for the Crusaders. Second half is in the wires, is about to get underway, says Kiwi Rob. Now George Dye, in fact that time was Aidan Ross trying to crawl forward. George Power over the ball though and gets the steal for the Crusaders, who once again are trapped inside of their own 22. Knee injury for Tupovai. He was holding on to that. And it does look relatively serious for him. That doesn't look good for Vai there. And I think whomever loses this game will end up winning the grand final, says Lord. And I think Australia needs everything they can get for the Lions, says Rehash. And who do you think wins this? I think that at the moment, the Chiefs would have to do something really bad in the last 15 minutes to lose from here, because they seem in control. So Crusaders, of course, are known for being a good side when it comes to a comeback. But something would have to go really, really wrong for the Chiefs to let this one slip. Now, Tokiaho, Ratama, going off across to Wallace Atiti. Actually looks like Vai's back to his feet, which is impressive, seeing as he was holding that knee for dear life just before. Jacobson, 30 metres out from the line. Wallabies need to go for the win in the tour. As much experienced players as possible. Definitely when the Lions only have about 16% win rate in Australia from their matches. Like, Australia have to make sure they make a bit of a statement that they are in a good place currently. Quintupai tackled again by Bauer and Null, the two props for the Crusaders. McKenzie inside ball finds Ruben O'Neill. Hobbit D-Mac says Jack. And back in the day, me and my mates used to call people Himothy and Brosive. A crack up seeing a Himothy on the feed. Now that's going to be passed across to Amoni Narua. Couldn't quite pass on the outside to Gideon Rappling. Still 22 metres out from the line for the Ches Quintupai. Ratama crossed McKenzie. Skip pass, interception from David Arveli. Just couldn't quite get the breakaway though. Lands on his face. That wouldn't have been too comfortable. James O'Connor now bumping off Damian McKenzie. Slow to get back up here for Harveli, but you're not supposed to walk on your forehead. You're supposed to use your feet. And Harveli found that out the hard way. Jamie Hanna on the short side. Hotham. About 40 metres out from their own line now. The Crusaders, good morning everyone. Raining heavy in Cape Town. All be safe. Says Johan. So I wonder whether or not that will affect the game later on up against the Dragons. Whether we maybe see a little bit more of a tactical kicking game from both sides. I know that Sasha Feinberg and Zulu, he will be one to certainly keep an eye on for that match after his current form. Quintupai giving away the penalty advantage. Fiaki quick hands out to Sever Reese. Going to be shut down by Sean Stevenson. O'Connor goes back across to Braden Enor. Tries to chip him behind. Ball does not sit nicely for him. McKenzie takes a shot to the head. It will just be the penalty for the original high shot. Boys, hold on. Says FBI, if the Crusaders get the try in the next 5 odd minutes, they could win. Exactly right. They are one of those sides that just love causing that last minute comeback and the last minute heartbreak for the other teams. That one did go into touch well and truly. And we have got their boys, hold on. Says FBI, Andy Farrell choosing speed and agility for his forwards and flair and X Factor for his backs. Says Nort. And also, Johan, please send some of that rain to the Northern Cape, please. Says Gerhard. And I should mention we have already got 2 streams scheduled for the URC that I am doing a bit later on. We are doing the matchup between the Bulls and Cardiff. That is starting at 2 a.m. New Zealand time, or that will be 4 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. And then alongside that, we have also got the game taking place between the Stormers and the Dragons. Tupavai is off, and that is for Josh Lord. Now, I mentioned about that knee injury just before. It looks like he's walking off relatively fine, though. He's still jogging, which is good news. Crusaders, says Damien. Now, Kyle Preston, he has also made his way on for Hotham. Seb Calder on for Null. Good shot on Corey Gallo by Samasoni Taukiaho. Cullen Grace on a pump his legs. Back to the right-hand side. A little bit of quick stepping from Severis. And the Bulls Blues as Australia into the Lions tour. Given the NRL, or into the Lion tour, given the NRL's king there. A little bit. Like, I feel like there's some decent support for the Lions tour. It normally brings out a few of the ones who have been on the fence about supporting the Wallabies for a while. Like, they'll at least, go to the games or get behind the tour a little bit. Now, nice short pass out to Cullen Grace. Thought about the pass. Goes through the hands. Looked like a knock on, I should say, from James O'Connor. And it was. So we'll now go back for another scrum. Josh Lord. Casey Rams says, Jack Slater, no way, last minute Crusaders, it's Chiefs all the way. Says Moa Hunter. I was going to say, if the name was Noah Hunters, we saw Noah Hotham just before, but don't hunt him. I think that the All Blacks possibly will be, though, and yeah, just not quite the offload that Cullen Grace would have liked. Couldn't find O'Connor's hands. Rob Penny, that looks like a stressed man in the Crusaders coaching box. Clayton McMillan, whatever he said to the Chiefs at halftime, obviously changed something in the mindset, because they have gone with 18 unanswered points throughout the second half. Crusaders are going to steal this. Says Stephen, Crusaders are hard to beat at their home ground, only way defending territory. Says FBI. Jacobson just getting a quick drink there as well, and Springbok side on its way. Says Johan. Flesh, it's the UK, lots of making up the numbers at the game, NRL and AFL. Says Blues Nate. Now Cortez Ratama, 40 metres out from their own line here for the Chiefs. The opportunity to find some other form of points. It's about killing the clock for the Chiefs. Yeah, although there's still a long time to kill. 10 minutes. Okay. Keep just saying from the other side, it's not looking too flash on this near side. So he has switched sides of the scrum. Just showing the live standings as well. The Crusaders will be in second still, but the Brumbies could overtake them. Holding my breath until the very last minute now. Says Omwa, we'll make sure to take every once in a while the occasional breath as well. Or else, if you can hold your breath for 10 minutes, that is extremely impressive. Never mind 10 minutes too long. Good call. Wait till like the last maybe minute and then really test it. But be sure to breathe if you need to. That's some good life advice. Words to live by. We're now kicked downfield by Damien McKenzie. Nice take inside of the 22 by Shea Fiaki. We'll look to kick it towards the sideline. It's out on the full. I think wasn't he outside of the 22? Or was he not? No, he wasn't. Okay, I'm obviously just looking at the wrong lines. I thought he kicked that one straight out on the full for some reason. And go the Chiefs, says Neville. And box all the way, Johan. And how your brother says Silla, I should say, doing very well. Excited for the last 9 minutes of this contest. Could easily go either way. Shea Fiaki knocking that ball backwards, I thought, but it's called as a knock on by Ben O'Keefe. O'Connor's hand so old, he needs blood transfusions. Here's Drape. There's the ball at the moment. It is going to be a scrum feed for the Chiefs, but both sides don't look like they actually want to hang on to it. It seems to be more of a kicking game for this last kind of 5 or so minutes here. Look at there, O'Connor so old, he helped Satan move. Says Drape, but Lions door good for business, big crowds, big spenders. Says Blues Note, yeah, the tickets for the British and Irish Lions tour, those games are relatively costly. Now down to the 8 minutes left. Any form of points to the Crusaders before 77 minutes, and they are still in with a shot. Chiefs will finish first at the end of the season. Crusaders will win the final in Waikato territory, says Gold-Blooded Rugby. And Crusaders, can you beat Chiefs already, please, says Josh. Will you cover the Lions games? We certainly will be. Nice inside ball to Josh Jacob. We will be doing those warm-up games as well, involving the likes of the Australian sides, Waratahs, Reds, etc. Now another run from Norris, or in fact that time it was Aiden Ross. Ratama goes across the Naitoa, Koi skip pass from McKenzie out to Gideon Rappling. Off to the left-hand side. Wallace Satiti. It's great to see him playing what looks like it will be a full 80 minutes. And Chiefs Mana says Osea. Good run from Taukiaho again. Short ball off to Tupaia. Almost broke through the tackle of Callow. A little bit of a juggle there from Ratama, but it went backwards. So it is going to be play on. Moving up to the 22 with a big run from Ross. Trying to find a way through, and at the moment it is proving difficult. They're starting to shift it a little bit wider, perhaps, in terms of the options. Maybe the cross case. Josh Jacob has dropped into the pocket just that little bit. And 19-3 up and no points since not be a happy coach, says Stephen. Now just slowly creeping towards that try line. Ratama goes across to Wallace. Satiti Moananu told to get out of it. They have got a man waiting patiently out on the wing. It's whether or not they decide to use him. Gideon Rappling, big bump off on Cullen Grace. 2 metres out. Naitoa Koi almost was close enough to stretch. Ratama off to Satiti, and he's on the line and scores a try. 18 phases in a row. And this game has gone from the Crusaders being in a position of a bonus point to now possibly conceding one. And Taukiaho is a damn wrecking ball, says Tanner too. That was a fantastic build-up try. Yeah, just patience from the Chiefs, not taking any risks. Good defence from the Crusaders in terms of not giving away any advantages, but Satiti finishes it off and gets over the try line to score a very solid team try. And who just scored? Wallace Satiti was the man who just got it. Who got try team-wise? That was the Chiefs, team that Satiti does, in fact, play for the Crusaders for years. Have always lost the odd important game and gone on to win the comp. Says David, your top 6. I've got a top 4 at the moment, which is pretty much what we've got top at the moment, with Chiefs, Crusaders, Brumbies, and Reds. I believe they will all be there within the top 4. And then I honestly think Blues and Hurricanes probably is not a bad shout for the other two sides within the top 6. Just from what we've seen the last couple of weeks. McKenzie does get it over. This ref is blind and Chiefs biased. How he reffing? I have a question, Josh. So, I assume you're not actually watching the game. Because you asked who got the team or the try team-wise, which you would know if you were watching it. So how can you say that the ref's blind if you can't see any of the decisions that the ref is actually making? Out of curiosity. And what was the score between these last two when they played each other? I think that the Chiefs got themselves... Oh, in fact, it was about round 2 of the Super Rugby comp, wasn't it? And Wallace is a beast. Good stuff, says Kareem. I'll quickly just find that game. Who's MVP? I think that we've seen some pretty good stuff from... Chiefs actually won 49-24. But yeah, in terms of the second half, we've seen some brilliant impact from, Satiti's been solid enough. I don't know if I'd give a man of the match, though. Sean Stevenson from the back has been really good. It's hard when it's delayed on TV, basically. But, how much is it delayed? Now Scott Barrett passing it across to Sever Reese. Obviously taken by Shea Fiaki. How long to go, please? 5 minutes now remaining. As Wallace Satiti an automatic choice for the ABs. I think he's right up there. I would be surprised if they don't select him, definitely because he's now shown that he can play 80 minutes without too much trouble, and he's actually gotten stronger as this match has worn on. Amoni Narua also having a very solid game. Kick towards the touchline for the Chiefs, looking for the 50-22, and it just doesn't roll towards the sideline. Now James O'Connor goes across to Sever Reese. Thought about running this one out. Flicks it across field to Braden Enor. And Shea Fiaki does very nicely. Haven't seen more games today. We've got 2 more games of the URC. Bulls taking on Cardiff, and then the Stormers taking on the Dragons. We'll also be covering that last game of the Under-20 Rugby Championship between South Africa and New Zealand. That is the other game that is coming up on the channel, but that is on Monday morning, 2 a.m. New Zealand time, or 4 p.m. for you guys in South Africa. Another penalty won by the Chiefs, Samisoni Taukiaho, the man who gets it. He's had quite the statement in the second half from him as well. There are guys who are stepping up right at the right time. Because if you're starting to do well here, you've got a good chance of making your way into that All Black squad. Was Satiti on the bench? He was not. No, he was starting at number 8 in this contest with Jacobson at 6 and Simon Parker as the number... Jacobson 7, Simon Parker number 6. And go to Chief, says Aging Trucker. And Chief showed big heart and character in this game. Yeah, to be down by 9 at halftime, to go out there and just look completely in control. Crusaders haven't been able to score themselves a single point throughout the second half. But yeah, massive shot coming in on Cullen Grace. And then just locking over the ball for Quinn Tupaia. Connor went for the clean out, but just wasn't quite quick enough. Even us Welsh are coming down, even though our players aren't. And McKenzie had 20 points tonight, says Stephen Bope. So just like normal, getting plenty of points. Do you have a fast forward button because you're delayed? Says Blues Nine, and can't wait for the Bulls versus Cardiff later today. Yeah, all the South African sides, or at least the teams playing very soon, they are heavy favourites in their match. McKenzie just leaves it away to the right-hand side. It looks like the Crusaders are actually going to try and run this one out from their in-goal line. I wonder whether or not, when you really think about it, Will Jordan went off with the injury after 20 minutes. Yes, the Crusaders did score a try after that point, but it just seems like they've been a little bit lost in the second half. Can Cardiff shock the Bulls? It would be a massive shock, although they've got a decent lineup for that matchup. Satiti got more carry. Chiefs winning this is a big statement, and that would be 2 from 2 up against the Crusaders in the regular season. The question would be if they played off in a playoff game, how would they go then? And I feel like the Chiefs, they'd love nothing more to make it a three-peat. 3 wins in a row over the Crusaders would be quite the statement to have. Now Havili, wide cut out pass out to Sever Reese. They're trying to attack from inside of their own in-goal area here. They're down by 16 points. So a try here in the last 90 seconds wouldn't even give them the bonus. And don't get the Crusaders a bonus point, says FBI. Yeah, I don't think there's any way for them to get that bonus unless they were to score pretty much right at this very moment. Nice run down the wing from Moananu. And it is kicked downfield. Jacob will look to just return fire. It's going to be bouncing. Awkwardly sits up a Jacob. Now 1 minute left. No clear release there from O'Connor. In the breakdown, Binoki says play on. Naitai Koi going back across to the right-hand side. McKenzie. Oh no. Just had a little bit of hesitation there. Pretty much ran straight into the opposition line. Stats on Wallace Satiti I saw just before as well. So Satiti so far, he's had 6 tackles, 12 metres gained, 2 defenders beaten and 1 try. So actually, it doesn't sound like a huge amount, but he's also had a very important turnover 1. McKenzie has more points than Crusaders have scored, says Stephen Pope. Off shopping back for the next one, says Ruth. But now, going back for the knock-on. And 15 seconds remaining. So if the Chiefs want to, they can just scrummage this one, kick it into touch. They've got the points differential in their favour. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is the tactic, although they're in a good position where you don't have to... Wait, how many tries have they scored, actually? I might have to take that back. If they've got themselves 5 tries... oh, no, they've got 4. So they can't actually secure a bonus point here for having 3 or more than your opposition. They should go for 1 more. They are in a good position on the field. But the big concern is injury. They've already lost a couple players from this match. Daniel Rona never returned to the field. Tupovai had a bit of a knock. And Xavier O does kick it into touch. Took his time. Almost got cleaned up by Kyle Preston. But that will be the end of the game. And it will be 35 points to 19. Being down by 9 at halftime to win it by 16 at the final whistle. There's a massive, massive performance there. A big hug between Christian Leo Willie and Wallace Satiti. Their massive respect shown between those two number 8s. A really nice moment between those two. A great away win, Chiefs, but Crusaders, you're still up top. Says Jack. And the thing is, the Crusaders could drop to number 3 on the overall standings if the Brumbies are able to get themselves the win over the Western Force. Of course, the Chiefs have still got that game in hand over the rest of the top 4 just at this current point in time. But there is some ground that will certainly need to be made up for the other sides. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in terms of the try scorers that we saw in this game. For the Crusaders, it was Tom Christie, Scott Barrett, and Antonio Shalfoon. So all the men that you wouldn't normally expect to see scoring tries were in fact the ones that were able to score them. Satiti, he got himself a try in the 74th minute. Alongside that, we saw the try for the Chiefs from Leroy Carter. We saw Amoni Narawa get himself the try too. And then there was one more. Who was the one who got that last extra try for the Crusaders? We'll go here. We'll try and find it. There's the stats. Where are our player ones? I'm not actually sure who got that last try. I can't even remember. I know that Wallace Satiti got the most recent try. Yes, Satiti. We saw the try from Leroy Carter, Amoni Narawa. One more fellow, ladies and gents, who also scored for the Chiefs. Do let me know, because I can't think of him. It's probably got it on the screen at the moment if I was looking at it, but I was not. Come on, Cardiff. Let's have another away win, says Fleshin. Oh, Mackenzie. He snuck through and got himself the other try. As I'm excited for the Lions store, says Bucks. I'm very excited. Looking like a strong squad. I'm looking forward to seeing what Australia throw out there onto the park. And the British and Irish Lions tour, when we think back to the last one, like, it's such a difference because this one's going to have a crowd. We've got to remember, 2021 was such a weird time in terms of that Lions tour because they weren't even allowed attendance for those matches. We hope you want to see a Chiefs vs Blues final, so a rematch of last year. Cheers from David the Mob. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you for your donation. Thanks for your commentary, Hamish. Here's a Russell. And there as well. And we are going to be back in only around 5 hours' time. And that is going to be for the matchup between the Bulls and Cardiff for the URC. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.